Hello and welcome to this edition of The Long Story. Today's special report is on the lakes of Bengaluru and Hyderabad. For many years, these two cities have been known for their water bodies, their lifeline. But today, land sharks are moving in for the kill, gobbling up these lakes and hastening the death of the two cities.
The first rays of the sun had not yet broken on Bengaluru on the 17th of May when a fire broke out. A closer look revealed the Yemlur Lake near the city's HAL area was on fire. Perhaps it was a signal for the Bengaluru administration and civil society to feel the heat. For the past many months, Bengaluru's lakes have been foaming at the mouth, like an overworked washing machine or a dhobi cart. In chemical terms, the lakes are a cocktail of high content of ammonia and phosphate.
7-8 साल से रहता हूँ। ये गंदगी 7-8 साल से चल रहा है। अभी तक कोई सफाई और कुछ देखभाल नहीं कर रहे हैं। ऐसे कोई देखने के लिए भी नहीं आता, कोई नेता तो कोई आदमी, ऐसे आदमी लोग सब बीमार होते हैं इसकी वजह से।
The Agara, Bengaluru and Hyderabad lakes, among the largest water bodies in India's garden city, are interconnected. As in, water from one flows into the other. Around 600 million litres per day of sewage is diverted to the sewage treatment plants near this three-lake system. Only 200 million litres get treated, and the remaining two-thirds flows into these lakes.
आदमी को उधर गिराते जगह ऐसा लाल वाला हो रहा है।
हाँ, लाल होता है तो आप किसी से जाके कंप्लेंट किए क्या?
किसे कंप्लेंट करना मैडम? किसे कंप्लेंट करना है बोला ये? हाँ।
क्या सिद्धरामैया जी यहाँ पे आए?
आ गया सिद्धरामैया आ गया, उधर दे गए ओगो में यमलूर में, उधर बंद करके चला गया।
One reason why Bengaluru is unable to fix its pollution is because its agencies are not clear about who's causing the pollution. The Karnataka State Pollution Control Board lays the blame squarely on the Bengalurians' door. It says the pollution in the lakes is only due to the dumping of domestic sewage.
Bangalore has grown so fast and so wide. It has grown even in the areas where there are no UGDs. Underground drainage and sewage systems are not built at all. Bangalore has grown at that speed. So there are many areas who have connected their sewage to open drains. Those open drains are directly coming to lakes because right from the beginning they were the sources of rainwater to the lakes. Now, since they are full with sewages, the same water is coming to lakes. This cannot be done overnight. Though people say that do this, do that, do that, it cannot be done. It's a problem of sudden, severe and fast urbanization without infrastructure.
This is the Bengaluru Lake, which is one of the largest lakes in Bengaluru. There are about 14 industries around this lake, and the Pollution Control Board, which is in charge of monitoring the pollution of these industries, claims that they manage their waste very well and there is no dumping into the lake system. So there is no stress on heavy metals on the lake's water.
But the Bengaluru Water Supply Board, which is in charge of managing domestic sewage, blames industries for the pollution.
In small industries such as electroplating, this and all, and very small minute industry, micro industries, they are letting out their sewage into the stormwater drains.
Whenever there is a pollution, people point out, say, this is industry. But Bangalore is not that heavily industrialized city. The only industry here is software or knowledge industry.
But pollution is only part of the problem, the one which is more visible. The silent killer is encroachment, done with the active connivance of the powers that be, and in many cases, the government itself decides to encroach.
The road that I'm standing on was once a lake, the Chikkalasandra Lake. Apathy ensured that it dried up completely, and then the municipal body, the BBMP, laid a road on the lake bed. Makes you wonder if Bengaluru is not driving on a road to an ecological disaster.
The lakes are often disappeared on maps. This lake, there was garbage dumping. I took the matter to court, and in the court, the then Commissioner Siddhaya said the lake doesn't exist. So I said it existed this morning when I was driving by, and he said it exists in reality but not in our map. So what really is happening is many lakes like this are made to disappear by agencies such as BDA, BBMP and so on. If you go upstream, the Raja Kalwe was encroached. We have got it for the first time in the state, marked out and protected. And if you go further upstream, you see one of the towers of a commercial residential building standing on the Raja Kalwe. And beyond that is a neighborhood developed and built by BDA, which is on a lake. Which is the reason why everybody is now talking about getting back the lakes. When BDA, the fence is eating the crop, what do?
With pressure mounting on the administration to remove the encroachers, the axe has fallen on those who constructed houses on the lake bed legally. Like Nagaraj, a baker by profession, who built his house in 2007 within kissing distance of Sarakki Lake after taking necessary permissions. Now it's been demolished.
ಅವತ್ತು ಡಿಸಿ ತಹಸೀಲ್ದಾರ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದಾರೋ ಸರ್ವೆ ರೋಡು ಅದು ಹಂಗೆ ಇದೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿವಸ ಇವರು ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆರೆ ಜಾಗ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಜಾಗ ಅಂತ ಇವತ್ತೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಬೇಕು ನಮಗೆ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಇವಾಗ ಇವತ್ತು ಮಾಡಿರೋರಿಗಿನ್ನ ಅವತ್ತು ಮಾಡಿರೋರು ತಪ್ಪು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ಅವತ್ತು ಅವ್ರು ತಹಸೀಲ್ದಾರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಕೆಲಸ ತಾನೆ ಅದು, ಅವತ್ತು ಡಿಸಿ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಕೆಲಸ ತಾನೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಅವರು ತಪ್ಪಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿರೋರ. ಇವಾಗ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು. ಕೇಳಕ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಏನೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹೋಗು ಅಂತ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ? ಮಾತಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಡಿಸಿ ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಏಕಾಏಕಿ ಬಂದ್ರು. ಶನಿವಾರ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಬುಧವಾರ ಬಂದು ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಗುರುವಾರ.
This family too has been living in the Sarakki lake bed for 3 generations now. Ganesh's father bought the land during a survey done when SM Krishna was chief minister. Their house was demolished a little as it was found to be encroaching into the lake bed. Now a fresh survey with new markings has led to further demolition.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸತಿ ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಆಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆರೆ ಜಾಗ ಈ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ 20 ಅಡಿಯಿಂದ 20 ಅಡಿ ಅಂತ ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ನೋಟಿಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಈ ಕೆರೆ ಜಾಗ ಇರೋದನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೆರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಂತ ಜಾಗ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವರು. ನಾವು ಕೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಕ್ಕೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಕೆರೆ ನೀರು ಮಳೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತೈತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗಂಟ ನಾವು ಕೆರೆದು ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಜಾಗ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಐಡೆಂಟಿ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟವ್ರೆ, ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸ್ಯಾನಿಟರಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವ್ರಂಗೆ ಮನೆಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊಡೆದು ಹಾಕಿದ್ರು.
ಅದಮ್ಮ ಈ ಏಜಿಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಈ ಸತಿ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ
ಜಾಸ್ತಿ
ನೀರೆಲ್ಲ ಐತೋ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಜಾಗ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಹೊಡೆದವ್ರೆ ಮರ್ಕ.
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ನಾವು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹುಡುಗರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದವ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿದವರಮ್ಮ ನಾವು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆದವ್ರೆ ನಾವು. ನಮ್ಗೆ
45 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ.
ಈಗ ಮನೆ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ?
ಅಯ್ಯೋ, ಕಷ್ಟ. ಜೋಬಡಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಮ್ಮ ನಾನು, ಜೋಬಡಿ ಒಳಗೆ ಮನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದಾಕ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ.
The person who made this cleanup operation possible is Rajendran Prabhakar of the People's Campaign for the Right to Water in Karnataka. The court took note of his petition to clear the encroachments both on the lake beds and the canals and ordered a cleanup drive.
See, in the court, for example, the Tahsildar comes and tells what is the size of the lake, for example. He says it out on 35 and odd acres. Then luckily we had our documents in our hands, which says it is 83.5 acres, and then Tahsildar had no information. That means, so the court again asked them to go and do a survey and also the survey the encroachers. So of course there are so many loopholes in the administration, because for a long time the Bengaluru lakes were actually left to lurch, and there is no single authority to take care of the lakes. Or not necessarily one single authority. All institutions which are supposed to have taken care of the lakes have failed.
Bengaluru Lake also faces the threat of an upcoming special economic zone. The fear is that once operational, it will not only encroach upon the lake bed but also increase the threat of flooding in the area. Stormwater drains will be blocked and it will be impossible to manage the overflow of the lakes.
Bangalore has become a kind of a dead city today, which was a garden city in 1970s. Today in 2000 it became a garbage city, and today is a dead city with a contaminated air, water and land. And the credit of this should go to BDA for the senseless growth in the city. In fact, I strongly feel that we should disband BDA.
With municipal elections in Bengaluru around the corner, the government is scrambling around for quick fix solutions. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has been contributing to the footfalls around the lakes, and his ministers say every time he's only overwhelmed by the enormity of the crisis at hand.
Long-term solutions are required. The 110 villages of Bangalore city needs to have UGD systems. We require almost 5,000 crores for that. Unless we do that, you can't prevent sewage water coming into lakes which are in these areas, especially Bengaluru, Vartur, all these lakes. So we need a huge money for that. STPs, just for Bengaluru and Vartur, I think the STP cost, if we establish, will be almost close to 1,000 crores. So that's another big amount which is needed.
In the interim, to show it means business, the Karnataka Assembly this February passed a bill to create an authority for management of lakes in the state. Karnataka's earlier experiment with a toothless body called the Lake Development Authority was a failure, as it only presided over the decline in the number of lakes and deterioration in the quality of water. The positive is that while the LDA was not even empowered to remove encroachments, the new authority can remove them, impose fines of 10,000 to 20,000 rupees and even imprison violators for up to 3 to 5 years.
As per the court agreement, the court verdict, there is no concession to anybody. Absolutely no concession. All the encroachments identified by the authorities have to be removed. And what we found that there are some people who have gone to the court for stay and things. That is only temporary, and it will be removed.
According to TV Ramachandra of the Centre for Ecological Sciences in Bengaluru, the number of lakes in Greater Bengaluru has reduced from over 200 in the 1970s to 93 in 2010. More than 50% of the lakes have been encroached upon. 72% of the lakes have seen loss of catchment area. Bengaluru could lose all of its water bodies by 2020 if the urban sprawl continues at the current rate.
From 1973 to 2014, we see 925% increase in the concrete area. We have lost 79% of water bodies and 78% of the vegetation. We have been deprived of oxygen also, because the vegetation gives us the oxygen. They take the carbon and give the oxygen. But now even the entities which sequester the carbon, we are losing in Bangalore. And we also did the analysis how many trees are there in Bangalore. In Bangalore today, we have about 14,78,000 trees, and population of Bangalore is 95 lakhs. And when I look at the ratio, it is for every 7% there is one tree. But you might ask, how many trees a Bangalorean requires? Every person. See, every day we inhale oxygen and leave the carbon dioxide to the order of 540 to 900 grams per person per day. Okay, this is just a respiratory carbon. To remove the respiratory carbon, I strongly feel that each person should have 8 trees.
A committee headed by Justice N.K. Patil was appointed by the Karnataka High Court to examine the ground realities and formulate a framework for restoration of lakes. The report in 2011 made several suggestions. These included survey of lake area and removal of encroachments, selected lakes to be developed for augmenting water supply to the city, and setting up of lake management committees with resident welfare organizations.
What the city's administration as well as the civil society need to realize is that Bengaluru grew because of these lakes. Now there is no source of water anywhere close by. Kaveri River is about 100 kilometers away, and the water from there is pumped up a gradient at a huge cost. We get about 19 TMC of water, but Bengaluru cannot go on expanding without saving its lakes.
The government admits the environment in Bengaluru is raising the red flag.
Generally, lakes are classified as A, B, C, D. A is drinkable, B is usable, C is okay, D is bad, and all our lakes are even worse than D today. We insist that at least bring them to B, at least bring them to C. At what level we can, where at least fish can live. Such water bodies are very important.
But small drops make an ocean, and a lake in this case. A beginning was made with Puttenahalli Lake in South Bengaluru, one of the few to be adopted by resident welfare associations in 2010. Now the saved lake is frequented by birds and residents alike who have a vested interest in keeping this small lake alive.
Barring examples like the Puttanhalli Lake, the grass is certainly not greener on the other side if I am to look at India's garden city from here in Hyderabad. But what about this lake, the magnificent Hussain Sagar, built in 1562? Is it also gasping for breath? We'll find that out after. As part of a project, students of a school in Hyderabad in January 2012 collected water samples from Shamirpet Lake on the outskirts of Hyderabad and Hussain Sagar Lake. In their project report, they wrote that the water from Shamirpet Lake resembled the urine of a person suffering from jaundice, while the water from the Hussain Sagar was jet black. Incidentally, the Hussain Sagar Lake served as a drinking water source till 1930.
Which is perhaps why Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao is doing what's been done only once before in 1922. He wants to empty the iconic lake, which incidentally is older than the 424-year-old Charminar. Desilt it and fill it up with fresh rainwater. Work has already begun with channels dug to drain out the water, and the water level in this 500-meter deep lake has gone down significantly.
No, emptying the lake at a single point is practically not possible, but over a period, maybe it may take 1 year, 2 years time, but we will release the water from one side, and from the other side the fresh water will enter.
Sounds like a perfect idea on paper, but the Greens are seeing red over the decision. They say no one knows where the polluted lake water will be released. The fear is that it will eventually be released into the Musi River that flows 9 kilometers south of the lake, further killing the already half-dead river.
Letting out the entire water, the kind of dredge material you see, this may create many environmental hazards.
Environmentalists are calling it an impractical dry clean plan. They say over 2 lakh trucks, each with a 25-ton capacity, will be needed to remove 4.4 million cubic meters of sludge, and the task would take at least 4 years. Over 22 billion liters of water needs to be pumped out. The flip side, however, is that 10 days of heavy rainfall in the monsoon can refill the entire lake. The methods may be questionable, but there's no denying that if surgery is not done urgently, the Hussain Sagar Lake may eventually be reduced to a drainage. According to data of the Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board of 2012-2013, every day 78 million litres of sewage and 15 million litres of industrial effluents flow into the lake through 4 drains. The 2 sewage treatment plants near the lake are insufficient to handle the wastewater load.
You want to protect a water body, don't confine yourself to the edge of the water body. You have to see far beyond the edge of the water body. Catchment area has to be protected first, treated first. Unless you protect and treat the catchment area, there is no way you can protect water body from polluting it.
Then there are occasions like the Ganesh festival, when immersion of Ganesh idols using plaster of Paris get transformed into 800 to 900 cubic meters of waste in the Hussain Sagar Lake. Most of the idols use paint that have lead and mercury elements, significantly polluting the lake.
It was built in the shape of heart, so it reflected the heart of the city. And as the time passed, and the time not now, as the time went on, all this chemical nala, all this sewerage nala was connected to this Hussain Sagar. Right now, the Hussain Sagar Lake is totally polluted, and every mean to purify it is not up to the mark. There's a purifying center that has been opened over there, but I don't feel that it is getting that kind of effect over there.
A survey of lakes undertaken in the greater Hyderabad area in 2012 found 177 lakes. But when a fresh survey was undertaken the following year, it found only 128 lakes. Of them, only 50 were found to be devoid of any significant encroachments. A common strategy to encroach is to dump garbage, thereby drying up the lake. Corrupt officials also cooperate by fixing the full tank level during the summer when the water is shrunk, instead of doing so during the monsoon.
The Lokayukta of Telangana has stepped into the scene to ensure that lakes that still survive do not meet a watery grave.
It is worst. I have to say worst. Worst. We see we are not maintaining our water bodies. We are not preserving and maintaining our water bodies which are adjacent us, in front of us, by this side, by this side. And we are drawing water from Krishna, from Manjira. I don't think it is. If we maintain these water bodies, then they cater to our drinking needs.
At one time, the Hussain Sagar Lake was spread over an area of 1600 hectares. Now it has been reduced to 1/4 that size. The common joke is that encroachments and pollution in the lake would reduce the statue of Lord Buddha, which stands in the middle of the lake now, to a traffic intersection one day. One can only hope that Hyderabad does not see that day. That's it then on this edition of The Long Story. Thanks for watching.